Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're looking at the SPY, the IWM, the Qs, the DIA, the IYT, the USO, and the UUP. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly time frames. We use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. So let's get right into the SPY 60-minute first to show you a little bit of support that we ran into today. And this is some of the reasons why this bounced. So you have the pivot lows here. Ultimately you have 212.31 as the low on this inside bar bearish pattern that we've had for the last month or so. So today we gapped down below the moving averages. This was on the 60. Pretty much the sell was on. We came right into the first level of support, 213.61. We bounced, we consolidated, and then we had a middle of the day sell-off right back into support at 212.58. We got the bounce. It retraced back to the 750 or the 250 retrace. And the support now becomes resistance at 213.61 and right back down. So let's go to the daily, try to figure this thing out. So we've been talking about this trend line here. We cracked through it today. We did close below this 213.61 area. Now we're looking for confirmation, possibly below the low of the day, which was 212.58 tomorrow or anytime this week. As long as we stay below this big trend line, we're okay. But my bet is tomorrow we get a nice rally on the Fed, waiting on data, and we get right back above and get into this area again. It was interesting because this was the 618. We went to the 750, and we kissed the 50 moving average yesterday too, and just couldn't hold it. Came right back in, and boom! Today we had a nice sell-off. We did cover a couple of positions today that we had on StockTwits and on Twitter, and we're making money, guys. It's all that matters at this point. Chipotle was one of them too. That was epic. Hits the trend line and boom, that thing fell like a brick. $14.86 today. Weekly chart. We're going to know more on the weekly close, but at this point we're starting to break down. We had weeks of consolidation inside this bar, bearish. Now we're starting to break down. The 20 moving average is at 214.05. Let's see if we can close below that at the end of the week, or possibly this low pivot right at, say, 212. I don't know, just around 212.37 or so. I'm going to say 212 even number. But it's starting to come in. Let's see if we go right back up, though, on the, I guess the Fed's talking tomorrow, or the Fed minutes or whatever. Typical. It will probably be light volume. They'll float it up and try to push it up above all the moving averages once again on waiting on data. You know, that's what these guys are doing. All right, let's look at the IWM. IWM had a nice sell-off, $2.27. Let's go to the daily. Daily, same thing. We've been talking about this consolidation. This is they tried to break it out, closed above this area, never did. Reverse, came right in. This down move sideways pattern, that's a bearish pattern. So it's micro bear, macro bull. We're still above the moving averages. Now we're below both. And it looks like no, we didn't. Let's see where we close tomorrow. We'll know a little bit more on the daily. But if we continue to sell, you look for this double bottom here, right at 119.88, 120 area. Then ultimately, I think we could go to this 200 moving average. As I'm putting in charts. Yeah, I'm just going to throw in a bunch of charts there, or trend line. You know, you have this little pivot here, which I like. Let's put this in. You have a gap fill, and a gap fill right down here. Not perfect. We'll draw them in a little bit better. You do have a gap fill here, window, gap fill, window. So you do have a lot of stuff coming up right here. This is a nice window, gap fill, and ultimately this down here, which you're going to have 118 to 93 support as well. So, but at this point, you know, we're going to keep an eye on this. You know what? Let me draw this one too. If you really want to get technical, you got this support here too from these bottom trend lines. So maybe we come back down on the news on tomorrow. We kiss that trend line, get into this pivot, and maybe we bounce there. But let's keep an eye on these markets. If you're bullish, you need to get it back above the moving averages. You need to fill this gap and keep going. Right now, technically, I think we're looking a little on the weak side. Again, I'm more of a bear. I'm not a bull right now, guys. You know, if this thing isn't leading, again, this is a lagging indicator, the IWM. We have a nice inside bar starting to fall apart. We're going to know more on the close on the weekly on this. But at this point, it's looking a little bit weak. It's looking weak on the weekly, guys. We'll know more on the close. We still have that trend line in there. We have the 20 moving average. So if we move in that tomorrow, if you're short, you're in the money, take some off the table here or cover it, because we could get that one more bounce, one more move up, and then maybe a possible sell-off. Again, the IWM is a lagging indicator. Let's go into the Qs. So the Qs today on the daily, let's go to the daily. What a nice sell here, but we did have support down in here again. So a lot of stuff hit support today on this downside. Then the volume disappeared. We only had, what did we have on? 130 million on the SPY. Picked up. Hey, I like that. Get more volume and start seeing more selling. So we had support down in here at the 117.25, the 50 MA. Bounces up, but it still stayed low down here. So let's see what happens in the next day or two. Plus on the weekly close, this could be setting up for lower prices. But again, we're getting some news tomorrow, guys. It's all this. That's the only way these markets are going up, when we get big news. And everybody gets all giddy and, oh, look, Janet Yellen's waiting on data. Let's get a rally. It's pretty incredible. But we're coming back into this overhead support here. Let's see if we can get into this, at least this green bar, 20 MA by the weekly close. Maybe we sell off tomorrow. Maybe she surprises us. Who knows? And actually, who really cares? We're just going to follow the charts here and try to figure out where these things are going. We're going to have some support down in here too. Might as well put it in there. Why not? All right, right there too, and that's the weekly, so we'll know more in the next couple days on the weekly. But the daily here, nice sell. Look at that sell-off, and we ended up below the MAs even on the 60-minute. But yeah, so it's holding support. Let's see. I'd love to see a gap down. This thing just start rocking. You do have a gap fill right here, right around 115.32, but we'll take it each and every day and get a new piece of the puzzle tomorrow. So again, this DIA, kind of like the SPY, we popped up, came in, just chopping around, inside bar, bearish pattern. As long as we're above this trend line, it's okay. Today we close. Their goal tomorrow is going to try to get it above. This thing starts to dump. You're looking at this level here, and ultimately double bottom breaks. I still think we're going to the 200 MA. But we're going to have to see if this pattern starts to play out. I want to see more volume on some more selling. If it really starts to come in the volume, I think easily we can get to 176. Easily. Same thing with this. Weekly, inside bar, bearish pattern. We are below the 20 MA. We're starting to get below that trend line. Needs to get back up here, guys. If you're bullish, it needs to close above this big red bar, just like all these other charts. And it needs to go higher on some conviction volume, not on 50 million shares. You know, or I mean on the DIA, there's light volume on this one, but this one fell on 5 million shares today, I believe, or 3 million. 3 million. You have some after. Oh, that's the weekly chart. So 3 million on the day. Did we have 3 million on the day? Yeah, 3.9 million on the day. So daily, same thing. You know, and the you know, just below the trend line. Let's see if we can continue. We're still looking okay. It's a 50-50 shot. It could go up or down. But if we start coming into this area in the cracks, we're going right down to there. Let's look at the IYT. IYT had a nice pullback today, 99 cents. I mean, nothing crazy, but still pulled back. We're still watching the same areas. This time, though, we got above the pivot, got above it, never confirmed, got below it, got above it, never confirmed. We're back below it now. That's telling me, well, we're still chopping around in a bullish manner. We're still above the MAs. But, man, they're just a bull-bear fight, and we're going to see who wins, hopefully next week or maybe at the end of this week. We still have, like I said, the news with Janet Yellen coming out, so that's still a wild card. Waiting on data. Same old crap, different month. But this is the one I've been watching here. We have a nice bullish pattern consolidating for weeks, 9 weeks or 10 weeks. We try to make an attempt to get above this big overhead resistance. Boom, comes right back in. They tried it again. Boom, right back in. If we end up with two little tails here, that's giving me a little more pieces, or a couple more pieces of the puzzle where this could possibly pull back. I mean, this thing there should be ripping to the upside. Again, IYT, lagging indicator, which is the Dow Jones Transports. This is lagging and not leading. That's talking to us, guys. It's telling us that possibly this isn't the truth here on this pattern. But if this comes in below these MAs, hits this trend line and goes, here's your first area, 126. Here's your second area, around 115 or so. Let's get to the, USO. So the USO had a nice little pullback today. Nothing crazy, 10 cents. I'll still take it. I'm short oil. But I got right into our 1166 area. Now it's consolidating. Let's see what happens up in this area. But it came right back down. We filled the window here, did not fill the gap though, so we're still going to see what happens with this chart on the weekly. So at this point, we're still above the 1138 too. We'll know more on the next couple days as we're putting the pieces of the puzzle together. Then on the weekly, like I said, I want to see it close. I want to see it close above this candle, like right around 1155, 1156 on the weekly close. If it doesn't, we still haven't confirmed above these MAs, and I'm thinking we get more downside action. We come in, 1, 2, 3, and then dump. You know, they got to get all the bulls on. They get all the bulls here, they dump in their face. They get all the bulls here, they dump in their face. They get all the bulls here. One more dump. We'll go into trend line, 750 retrace. And if this thing starts dumping and the markets start going, 923. And then definitely I think we could go to 770 easily again. And then we'll retest that area. And I still have an area around 646, guys. 646 if these markets start to dump. And then the monthly chart, we'll know more on the monthly chart. But the one thing that's talking to us right now, guys, is the UUP. We're into big resistance up in this area around 25.21. It did close a little bit above it, but I'm thinking we could go to 25.87. We got this pivot in here as well. Right there as well. That's going to be some resistance too. But now we're above all the moving averages. We're starting to break out. We did have a slightly bearish pattern. It's starting to fail. If that thing fails, we're going to head up. Ultimately, we do have a gap fill right there at 25.87, but I think we can get to this high pivot right here if this thing really starts rolling. But the higher dollar is not good for Yellen's plan, guys. So you're going to see some action in oil. If this thing keeps going up, it's going to take oil down with it. You know, ultimately, you know, if it really starts to rumble, 26.49. We are long the dollar. We did cover half a while back. Went back in our face, and boom, boom, boom. And then let's see if this thing could take off. Weekly chart. That was the daily. Well, here's the daily. I mean, look at this thing. I mean, it's taking off. It's going 90 degrees, so it's going to have to breathe a little bit. I'd like to see some bullish consolidation and then pop. But right now, we're above this trend line, and it confirmed. We're above all the moving averages now. So let's wait for pattern. Let's see if this thing can move up. And I'm thinking, you know, you have a gap fill here. You got the gap fill up there. Gap fill up here. So these are the bigger lines here. Right now, we need to get past this one. If we get close above it, well, we did on the daily. Now we need to close above it again, and we confirmed above that. I think we'll go higher. Weekly chart. Weekly chart, same thing. Right at that resistance. But man, I mean, it's been knocking on this door to come down. You know, I'd love to see it come back here, and then we buy it and it goes up. But I think this thing could be starting to take off. This is going to be big on the weekly close. We'll have to watch that, and we'll redetermine where this thing could possibly go. Let's look at the GLD really quick. The GLD, I think we're still holding. Were we up a little? No, we're down again. Look at that. Wow. Well, the dollar went up. So look at this. So that's what I'm saying. Let's wait for pattern. This thing sets up in a bearish consolidation. I'm still thinking it gets right here in the 115 area. Maybe a little higher, because if you look at the weekly, be patient with this one, guys. Patience pays off. You still have this little guy here around 117.50, but ultimately you have double bottom here around 115, and then man, if it could get to 112.40, which I don't know if it's going to, but that's a nice gap fill down there. I mean, we have another gap fill here, but we could start adding down here if this thing continues to fall, because eventually gold is going to turn around and just rip heads off, in my opinion. All right, guys, I think that's it for today. We're going to do some live action tomorrow. We didn't get a chance to do it today. I was busy with my kid. My kid was sick, so sorry about that, guys. It was fun, though. I mean, I did one. It was choppy, sloppy, but I have wireless internet in my house, and it just doesn't flow as good as the live charts does at my shop. So tomorrow I'm hoping to do a live session around noon or so, New York time. We'll get into the charts. Hopefully we get some action with the Janet Yellen news, and then we'll have some fun tomorrow, guys. All right. Thanks for watching my videos. If you have any questions or comments, StockBookie@gmail.com. God bless, guys. Thanks again for watching. See you on the charts.